so much for joining me for this episode of Pilot Talk Podcast. I am thrilled to have my friend, client, and an amazing pilot, Traci Dugan, on with me today. She is with Traci Dugan Aviation. Tracy, tell me your title there. I know you're the director of ops, but what else? What other hats do you wear?
Yes, I'm officially the director of operations for our 135 piece, and I'm also vice president in the company. Yes.
And so I know your other half, maybe a little bit even better than you do, because Vince and I have worked together on a number of aircraft transactions.
Yes.
And he brags about you like you wouldn't believe.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk with you about flying the CJ1. And I know that you fly a number of different aircraft. How many different types of aircraft have you flown?
Oh, Lord. I started out in the Citation 501. I thought it was awesome. You know, it's a baby jet. And we used to fly from Chicago to Teterboro every other week in the aircraft. And I loved it. That was 101 Romeo. Then we went to a Citation 2. Then I've flown a Citation 560 or a Citation 5, a Citation Ultra, a Citation 7, which is the 650 series. That's a midsize. And the Lear 45 series, the 40, 45, 45 XR, those basically.
Fantastic. So the CJ1 fits right in the middle of all of those. So let's talk just a little bit about that airplane for a while. Right. One of the reasons that it's such a popular airplane is because it's a single pilot aircraft. Can you talk about that? I think you probably operate it with two pilots, but I know you've flown it just with you sitting up front. Tell me about that.
Mm-hmm. It really is, Renee. Cessna did a remarkable job at providing an aircraft platform that can be flown single pilot. Not only can you fly a single pilot, it's extremely easy to fly. It flies as expected. And when you're doing your flight training early on as a young pilot, you learn to fly a certain way, and really that can translate easily over into flying the Citation products, especially the 500 series like the CJ1, the CE 500 series, and the 525. The way the flight deck is designed is most of the switches operationally are on the left side of the aircraft, which would be the pilot flying seat, and the non-important, or I don't know how you...
Essential.
Yeah, non-essential. There you go. That's even a bus on the Lear. But the non-essential items are on the right seat, the right side of the aircraft. So therefore, and in our company, we do operate the airplanes with two pilots. All airplanes we fly are operated with two pilots. We've trained with two pilots. We fly them with two pilots. But in the CJ1 series and the CJs, they're certificated as a single pilot airplane, meaning you, as an aircraft owner, can fly it single pilot, or you as an aircraft operator, if you are certified by the FAA to operate single pilot charter 135, you can fly it as a single pilot charter operator.
One thing that we notice in talking to some of our clients is that it's easier for them sometimes just to have hire one pilot to fly the airplane, because it frees up that co-pilot seat for another passenger. So that's an appeal to some people who are operating Part 91.
Absolutely. In fact, it's done all the time. If you're a 91 operator and you're maintaining or managing the aircraft for an owner, absolutely. Many times the owner may want to sit up in front with the pilot, and they can do that basically. And also it saves on weight and balance and loading and performance numbers when you can use the front seat as a passenger seat versus a pilot seat.
So the upgrade from a CJ to a CJ1, if I remember correctly, is the Collins ProLine 21 cockpit. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And was this the first time when you started flying the CJ1? Was it the first time that you had flown with the ProLine 21? How hard is that to learn?
No, I had flown with ProLine 21s prior to this. And the Lear 45 series uses a ProLine 21, and other jets that I have flown use that too. the difference would be as you move up in the CJ platforms, they incorporate FADEC, which is the automatic throttle control and the engine control, that now you don't have to set power settings at certain altitudes. You can just go click, 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 and you go to the takeoff detent, for instance, on the power. And then the FADEC knows that the temperature outside, how high you are, all the parameters that are included for takeoff performance, and it just sets the power for you. It really spoils you.
So
that's what you did on the Plus series.
On the CJ1 Plus, I was going to say that was the next big addition to the or evolution in the CJ series. So talk to me a little bit about the performance of the CJ1. What speeds are you normally seeing? How's the climb? What are some of the limitations of this aircraft and some of the cost benefits? Because I think those are two things when people are considering a CJ that they want to look at between the variants.
CJ1, our CJ1, and you know, we love it. You can go out of a short runway. It's got excellent climb, particularly in, I mean, any aircraft, if you're at a very high altitude or very hot temperature, less performance on the ground in takeoff. If you have just normal temperatures, you know, it's not 120 degrees, it's 60 to 70 degrees, let's say, and you're at a reasonable altitude, 2,500 feet, let's say like North Platte, no problem. Short takeoff field performance, you climb right out, you can climb at 2,000 feet a minute at least, up to at least 29,000 feet. And the service ceiling, or not service ceiling, but the certified altitude on the CJ1 is 41,000 feet. So you usually fly between 30 and 37,000 roughly. You don't have to get blocks to get up to 37,000 feet if you have normal loading, which is like, you know, 3 to 4 passengers, normal amounts of bags, and you're not taking off from Aspen at 100 degrees. But it performs as expected. It is easy to fly. It's so reliable because it just performs. When it's a very well thought out aircraft especially from a single pilot perspective, because everything is there to man it, to manipulate if you have any issues. But we call it the Rocket in our company. It's for a personal jet for someone, or for, let's say you have 2 people on a charter that want to go somewhere, great airplane. If you have a huge load of customers, you'd have to probably have a larger, you know, it seats 5 in the cabin, and then we have a belted lab. But really the most optimal usage, the most optimal loading is 4 passengers. 4 passengers, we can go, not a problem.
And does it feel kind of cramped to those 4 passengers? Are they playing footsies, or is it comfortable?
Well, they can move their seat back, so they can make adjustments and feel more comfortable. There's also a front seat when you first enter the cabin. There's a little mini bench seat there. Some customers like to sit there because they like to see what the pilots are doing, or they like to have a little space from other people. They do sit there often. You know, you get 5 people in there. We do it all the time because 5 people may want to go. It's more crowded with 5 than it is for 4.
Still beats the airlines.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And you go fast, you go where you want. It's amazing.
So
you probably stop at about 2:30, 2 hours and about 2:40 in time when you have to stop for fuel.
And what's that range?
Probably about, let's see. We plan at 360, so 600 and some, no, 700 miles probably. Let's see, 360.
You're probably pushing 900.
8.5
hours.
850, 900. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a reasonable amount of. You don't want to be in that size of a plane for much longer than that 2.5 hours.
And most people don't care. I mean, if they go 2.5 hours, 2:45 and get out for fuel, if they're going a long distance, they're fine with it. They don't mind that.
So let's talk about luggage capacity in an airplane this compact. How much luggage space do you have? What can you fit in there? Is it accessible from the cabin or is it just exterior?
Good question. We have an interior luggage area across from the lavatory inside the cabin. That would be for personal items like backpacks, purses, things like that. External to the cabin are 2 luggage bays. One is in front in the nose area. It has 2 hatches that lift up toward the center of the nose. You can put things straight across because the internal part of the luggage bay is all open. So if I'm on one side of the nose of the aircraft and I open up the luggage bay, I can slide something through all the way to the other side of the luggage bay. So that's nice. Horizontally, I'm saying.
What do you typically put? Do you put a couple of suitcases in there, or is it something smaller?
Suitcases, duffels. It holds a fair amount. I think the capacity, the max weight is 250 pounds in the nose, and like 500 pounds in the back, in the luggage bay in the back. So there's 2 luggage bays in the CJ. So if you were to have a golf club,
that's some heavy luggage.
Yeah. Of course, half the time if somebody, I don't know, people take a lot of luggage. I don't, because I hate hauling it around, but lots of people take a lot of luggage.
I've noticed that.
Oh yeah.
I'm appreciative of them when I have to fly airlines because they check all their bags and it leaves room in the overhead compartment for me.
I know. I hate that when usually it's me, I carry on my bag and then somebody's put their carry-on bag where I sit. And then I'm like, what? You're sitting, and they sit way in the back of the airplane. They put it in the front, right above your seat. And then they go to the back, so you have no place to put your bag. Anyway, don't get me started on that. Private is the way to go, okay?
It's job security for both of us, for sure.
There we go. I agree.
So let's talk about fuel burn. Fuel burn on the CJ. It's a pretty fuel efficient aircraft.
Oh, really fuel efficient. 150 pounds, I think, a side. That's 150 pounds a side, an hour. So that's 300 pounds an hour. That's 150 gallons an hour, maybe. That's not much. Cheap.
That is not bad at all. And then I know you like to fly fast. We established that in another interview. Yes. How fast do you go in the CJ1?
CJ1 is 360 knots. I think that translates to 7.2 Mach, 360 knots, basically 460 in the Lear, 360 in the CJ.
Okay. So what's the city pair that you fly the most often in the CJ1? What's a typical trip in that for your operation?
We fly a lot we're based in North Platte with the CJ.
Nebraska?
Yeah, North Platte, Nebraska.
Not everyone knows where North Platte is, Tracy.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm like, what? So it's Lima Bravo Fox. If they were to take a dart and throw it at the map of the United States, we're right in the center of the U.S. We fly a lot to Arizona. We fly to Colorado and then to Arizona. We can fly nonstop from the middle of the country, North Platte, Nebraska, to Palm Springs, nonstop. That's cool. If we were to run into some kind of weather going out to Palm Springs, we would stop in Page, Arizona for fuel. And then going east, it's great. We can make from North Platte in the CJ, and great. I like that. That's our other location. So
fantastic. So fairly easy to operate. It's easy for a young pilot to graduate into this as a first jet.
Yes.
Which would also translate for owner operators coming off of a King Air into a jet, being an easy transition for them coming from a turboprop. It sounds like it holds quite a bit of luggage and has good short field performance. Is there any other thing that you'd like to say about the CJ1?
When you get a type rating for the CJ1, you actually get a type rating on the 525, which is you get your type rating in a CJ3. And the upgrade from the CJ1 to the CJ3 is significant. A CJ3 is more like a super light. So your
right,
type
it has a lot more power.
Yeah, a lot more range, a lot more power. The engines are bigger. You fly faster, like you do on other products that I fly. So that's nice because your type rating then translates. It's good for the CJ3, CJ2, 2 plus, CJ1, CJ1 plus. All that type rating is good for all of those. CJ3 is a 2-pilot airplane. CJ1 is a single pilot airplane.
CJ3 can be flown single pilot too.
Okay, all right. I didn't know.
So can the 4.
Yes, there we go. Okay, good.
And the 3 plus.
I've only flown a 3 plus. I've never flown a CJ4.
3 plus switches to a Garmin cockpit, I believe.
I've flown a 3 and a 3 plus, and I've never flown a CJ4. I don't know. I don't know how that would be to fly.
Well, I'm going to find another pilot and figure that one out. Tracy, thank you so much for chatting with me about the CJ1. If you missed it, you're also going to want to see Tracy's interview on the Lear 45.